Okay, here we go. Philippians chapter 2, verses 18 through 21 in Greek by Ken Shank. So, we begin with 2:18. To de auto kai humes, kairete kai sun kairete moi. Well, what does this short little verse say? Well, first of all, we know that the de is a post-positive. That means it's a procrastinator. It doesn't get here on time. It's usually one word late. So we'll put it up front as a and or something like that. To auto is the identical use of autos. Remember, when autos has an article on it, it means same. So, and the same is the translation here. To goes with auto, and that's the neuter form. So, and the same, remember when you have kai, ... kai, that's a correlative use. It's a both and. So, and the same, both y'all are rejoicing, and then, and y'all are rejoicing with me. So, kairete and sun kairete pretty much mean the same thing, except one is just rejoicing in general, and the other is rejoicing together. That moi, I suppose we could call it either a dative of accompaniment, you know, you're doing it with me, or you could call it a dative of root idea, because it kind of goes along with soon on front of kaira. I said this in class, that with kairo, soon kairo, that soon, the preposition on the front, kind of begs for its object to be in the dative, because soon takes the dative. So hopefully that's not too hard. As I said, to auto is the identical pronoun. What kind of a pronoun is humes? What kind of a pronoun is moi? Take a second, pause it if you have to. That's right, it's a personal pronoun. Humes is you, second person personal pronoun, and moi is with me, which is first person personal pronoun. And there you have it, Philippians chapter 2, verse 18. I figured that since I was doing this on video, this might be a good time for me to begin to go into some of the intermediate functions that we find in Wallace. So the present tense, you know, I've heard pastors say that because this is present tense, that means it's happening right now for whoever is saying it. That's just not true. That's the kind of beginner thinking that doesn't hold hardly at all. The present tense, first of all, isn't primarily about time. In fact, tense in general in Greek is not primarily about time. And there are some who would say tenses have nothing to do with time whatsoever in themselves. I'm not sure that I would go that far. Wallace says he wouldn't go that far. But the present tense has as its most basic aspect a kind of continuous flavor to it. Now, this is not absolute. In fact, Wallace, the very first example of the present tense that Wallace gives, I think, is an instantaneous present. I didn't put that on my list because I don't like it. I like to think of the present as primarily having a continuous flavor to it. And so, here are some of the different nuances that the present tense can have. So there's something called a descriptive present. That is the present tense that says it's happening right now. I am recording a video. That's a descriptive present because I'm actually doing it right now. But there are other nuances. So there's what Wallace calls an iterative present. This is something that happens over and over again. He restricts the term iterative for something that especially would apply to, say, commands. So, be rejoicing in the Lord always. And again, I say, be rejoicing. That kind of sense that it's something we're going to do over and over again might be called an iterative. I've combined his iterative with, I think he has another one that's kind of like often repeated. I just kind of combined them and collapsed them into what we might call an iterative. Iterative has a sense of something that you do regularly. Okay, a nomic present gives a general truth. So roses are red, violets are blue. That would be a nomic present. It doesn't really have a continuous flavor. It's more of a universal kind of thing. You can actually talk about the past using a present tense. Mark does this quite a bit. Jesus says to them, but we know it's something he said to them because Jesus has already gone to heaven. I kind of joke about Canadians talking this way. So I'm walking down the street, and I see this guy. That's a very vivid way of talking about the past, sometimes called the dramatic present. So here this definitely shows that just because you're using a present tense doesn't mean that you're talking about something happening right now. That is so I don't understand Greek. Hopefully you're beginning to see. And while we're talking about present tenses that have a past sense, you can also have a present tense that has a perfective sense and a present tense that has a futuristic sense to it. I think we might have possibly a future, well, actually, no, forget that. Ignore what I just started to say. I'm going to the store. That's a futuristic kind of present. And I'm sure that if I thought hard enough, I could come up with a perfective one where it's something completed that's still true in the present, and I'm using a present tense to say it. I'm married. That's an adjective, though, isn't it? Anyway, never mind. So lastly, I wanted to mention something called a tendential present, also called the conative present. It has a sense of trying. So you can actually translate certain present tenses as trying to do something. I am passing Greek. I don't know. I'm trying to pass Greek. That's a bad example again. But if you want to see examples, actual examples from the New Testament, open up Wallace to pages 219 through 31 and look at them. Actually, I hope that with our plunging into the present tense, you will begin to see how you can actually use Wallace as a reference text. So that when you come across a present tense and you want to know, I wonder what nuance this has, you just look at the index of Wallace, you find the pages on the present tense or whatever, and you look at what some of the options are. The goal is not to force the text to mean something special. The goal here is to kind of discern, I feel something. This present tense, I'm feeling something in this present. What is it? I can't quite put my finger on it. And you kind of go through the list of possibilities, and finally you hear these sounds, ding, 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 where you realize, yeah, that conative thing really fits this context very well. So anyway, welcome to Intermediate Greek. Okay, so 219. Elpizode in curio Jesu. What does this mean? I hope, now, I can go back and put the dab before, it's late as usual, but I hope, or now I hope, in the Lord Jesus. Timothy, can you say it? Can you find it? Can you do it without me telling you? Look at it. Pause it. See if you can translate it without me. You've already done it, right? You translated this before you watched this video, didn't you? Timothy, Timotheon, takeos, quickly, pempsai, humin, to send to you. Timothy, quickly to send to you. Notice how to send fills the meaning of to hope. I hope what? I hope what? I hope to send. See how that I hope kind of naturally takes an infinitive to complete its meaning. Let's parse pempsai, shall we? Can you parse it? Pause the video and parse it if you haven't already. Okay, pempsai is aorist. A psi is a key to a hidden sigma. So we have a hidden sigma alpha here, which is a hint of aorist. And then 6 out of 7 infinitive endings end in I. And psi is a aorist active infinitive ending. So all I need is the word, and I have a full parsing. Aorist active infinitive from pempo, which means to send. Okay? Any questions about this? I can't answer them. You're watching it on video. Why did you even think that? Okay, so we move on to the rest of that verse, verse 219. Hina kago empsuko gnus ta peri humon. Okay, hina tells me that I have what kind of a clause? That's right, either a purpose or result clause. I think this is a purpose one because he's planning. So purpose looks at it from the standpoint of planning. Result looks at it from the standpoint of outcome. So in order that, purpose clause, and I'm also expecting a verb in what mood, right? What mood of a verb follows a hina? That's right, a subjunctive. And so I haven't gotten there yet. Kago. By the way, kago is Ego was driving along and Kai was following too closely. And so when Ego braked, Kai ran into it and it just crunched together and we ended up with kago. So kago means Kai Ego. It's kind of like we have isn't, is not. Kai Ego is kago. This is called crassus. When two words regularly crash into each other like that. So kago is kind of an abbreviation or a shortened form of contraction of kai ego. So in order that I also, and now we get our subjunctive, might be encouraged. It's not passive. It's just you means good, and psuke is soul, so good souled, so that I might be good souled. I might have a good feeling about it. In order that I also might be encouraged. That is subjunctive. You can't tell because an omega that's fried ends up as an omega. But the omega is, in fact, a long, it's a subjunctive omega. The reason why there's a circumflex on the top is because eupsukeo is a contract verb. And so an epsilon crashed into a subjunctive omega, and omegas win. Omegas win over everything. And so the epsilon basically gets stomped on by the omega and it's left. So there's my subjunctive. Emsuko, to be well sold, to be encouraged. Having known, that's gnus. Gnus, no gnus is good gnus. The next slide will be about gnus. Having known, ta perihumon. This is the substantive use of a prepositional phrase. Let that sink in. The substantive use of a prepositional phrase. You see the prepositional phrase, perihumon, concerning y'all. The ta treats concerning y'all, makes it into a noun. So the concerning y'all things. So in order that I might be encouraged, having known the concerning y'all things, or the things concerning you, or y'all. Okay? Things, where does things come from? It's the substantive. It's, you know, it reached down into its heart of hearts and pulled out the substance. Watch me pull things out of a hat. So the ta, perihumon, is the substantive, because it's coming up with a noun, use of a prepositional phrase. Let's look at gnus. Gnus is annoying. It definitely is annoying. Gn is the aorist stem of gnosko. And you can see, can't you see that it's related to the English word kno? If I kno something, K-N-O-W, K-N-O is very similar to gamma nu omicron, which is the stem. Actually, the omicron is part of the stem, forgive me. So this is the aorist of gnosko, to know. The gnus form is really weird. I'm sorry, it just is. How did I parse this? I have some vague memory of it. That's about it. I knew that without the gnosk on the front that it wasn't present. And that oos part, I just, somewhere from the past, I remember that is the aorist of this word. That is, in fact, the way you form the aorist of most me verbs that we will get around to reviewing or doing for the first time, as the case may be, me verbs. But this is kind of the way a me verb aorist participle looks. The oos is a masculine nominative singular form, and I'm sorry, I memorized it. It's kind of like one of the last things in any Greek grammar. In fact, I think this might be in the very last chapter of Mounts. I'm not sure. So don't feel bad if you had to look this up. But it basically means having known. I think it's causal because I can feel, again, I didn't come up with it, I can feel the because. Trust the force, Luke. I feel a because here. Because I know the things concerning you. So that I might be encouraged. Why? Because I know the things concerning you. See, that's the cause of me being encouraged. Because I found out stuff. Or Paul has found out stuff about the Philippians. Okay, verse 20. We have 2 more verses, and you're done with this torturous video. So, Udena gar echo isopsukon. Isopsukon. Sorry, you Greek speakers out there will be very annoyed with me as usual. Okay, so Udena means no one. It's the accusative form. This is udeis, which is a compound of ud with ace, ace meaning one, or hace, I suppose would be more accurate. So Udena is no one. And gar is another procrastinator. It didn't come on time. We're going to put it back at the front. For no one I have, and since that's the Udena is the accusative, let me put it after echo for you English speakers. For I have no one, Paul says. I have no one isopsukon. I have no one of the same soul. Iso meaning same, and psuke meaning soul. A lot of soul derivatives in these verses here. I have no one of the same mind. I have no one who is another self, as Aristotle might say, or Cicero, sorry. Okay. Hostis gnesios ta perihumon merimnese. Okay, so hostis is a souped-up form of hos, where hos is the relative pronoun. So this is kind of like the indefinite relative pronoun, I think, is what they sometimes call it. But it's basically, again, who. This reminds me of some people, some friends I have in the South, who would say, I have no one of the same soul, whoever genuinely will care for the things concerning y'all. We don't, in proper English, we don't say whoever will in this kind of context. That's bad. But Greek does. Greek does use this hostis, whoever, which is, again, a compound of hos plus tis. So it makes the who a little bit more indefinite, but in Paul's idiom it doesn't seem to. I have no one of the same soul who gnesios, who genuinely, see the omega sigma ending, which is an adverb kind of ending, and so I'm not surprised to find that an ly word translates it into English. Who genuinely, there's that ta perihumon again, the things concerning y'all. What is that usage there? What is that usage? Pause the tape. That's right, it is the substantive use of a prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase is taking the place of a noun. The things concerning y'all. Who genuinely, the things concerning you, will care about. So, merimnese is future tense. Ace a, third person singular active, indicative. A sigma before the ending tells me it's future. And it's from merimnao, another contract verb. Lots of contract verbs in Philippians 2. Okay? So, there you have verse 20. And I thought, since the future tense doesn't have a lot of options, only 3, I thought I'd go ahead and just take it. Man, we've covered the present and future tense in this video. I should go away more often. And so the future tense is not continuous. The future tense usually simply means, bleh, it happened. It's usually undefined. So here are the 3 functions of the future tense as explicated by Wallace on page 244 and 45. So you have the predictive future. I'm going to West Point tomorrow. Probably. That's predictive future. There's also the imperatival future. You will pick up your clothes, or you will not commit adultery. Those are commands. That's the imperatival future. The deliberative future. Will we go to Bethlehem? I suppose that's I don't think I am tomorrow, at least. Maybe Bethlehem, Pennsylvania? No, probably not. So those are the 3 uses of the future tense that are mentioned in Wallace. Look it up, and you can see, wow, I can actually use this book. Back to 2:21. This is the last verse for this video, Philippians 2, verse 21. So we start off with hoi pantes ta heauton zetusen. Okay, hoi pantes, the all y'all. The all, for, gar came too late as usual, for the all, zetusen, for they all seek, they all are seeking ta heauton. This is the substantive use of a reflexive pronoun, or actually better yet, it is the substantive use of a genitive. So we had in this stretch of verses the substantive use of a prepositional phrase. Here is the substantive use of a genitive. So for they all are seeking, zetusen, the of themselves things, or the things of themselves. Ha'alton is a reflexive pronoun. I should have waited and let you guess that. Okay. And I suppose this is something going on right now for Paul. Everybody's seeking their own things. He's describing, I guess it's a descriptive present. It's what's going on at that time. Okay. U ta Jesu Christu. They're not seeking the of Jesus Christ things. They're seeking the of themselves things, rather than not the things of Jesus Christ. And there you have it. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.